You are now listening to the Pillar to Post podcast with Dewey Danielson of Worldwide Wrestling. Be sure to like this video if you're on YouTube and subscribe to catch up with all of the premier eFed content. This podcast is for listening purposes, recapping previous shows, previewing the next show, and broadcasting any important information, upcoming shows, and breaking news of Worldwide Wrestling. Not all content is copywritten or owned by Worldwide Wrestling. Credits in the link below, as well as credits to the previous show and all of 3Dub's social media networks. Thank you and enjoy. Here we go, guys. Thank you for joining us here for the first episode of the Pillar to Post podcast. Guys, I am so excited to be here with you on this fine afternoon, and I'm telling you, we had an amazing card back at Takedown Slam, and that is just the beginning of what is to come here for Season 7. I am extremely excited about everything we are doing, and I am extremely also excited about this show right here, guys, where I get to recap that amazing show that we had back just a week ago. Well, first thing I want to talk about is the show. I want to give you guys a little bit of information about what this is going to be. This is going to be your more of a traditional podcast, if you will, audio only. I will have some cool visuals on the screen, and that's pretty much going to be it. I'm going to be talking about the last show that just happened, and I will be talking about the next show that is coming out for every episode that I do here. So it's going to be important if you want to kind of keep up with what's going on with Worldwide Wrestling, takedown to takedown, and then, of course, at the pay-per-views, we want to know what's going on there, of course. So we have a bunch of things going on this season that's going to be new, or at least returning and seeming new, if you will, to the company. And that is going to be, I'm going to list those things here for you. We're going to be coming back with the power rankings that you have already seen here in 3Dub. And that is something that was a major part of Worldwide Wrestling in the first few seasons, following up with the top 10 of who is working in the company. And we haven't done it in a couple seasons, but we thought we'd bring it back this year because we think it's important that these things get out. And, you know, you want to see yourself make this power rankings list. And, you know, we discussed it. And we thought that, you know, maybe 10 isn't enough to showcase on what we're doing here nowadays. So we've bumped it up to 20. We might even do 25. I mean, if you're in the comments, you want to do 25, it wouldn't be hard to persuade me to do that. But, you know, we thought it was important to get the power rankings back into the mix here. And it's tough to do the power rankings. You guys need to know that off the bat. But, you know, another thing that you've already seen, and we're going to talk a little bit about later tonight, the match and the moment of the night features that are coming back onto the 3Dub network. Going to feature an exclusive moment and an exclusive match voted on by you, the fans and the viewers, here on YouTube. So that is fantastic. You're going to want to win match or moment of the night. I'm telling you that. We're going to be featuring a lot of the moments of every card on all of social media, but we are going to exclusively put a little oomph on the match and moment of the night. So you definitely want to be a part of that. You definitely want to strive to be a part of that. And that comes with telling your story and giving your input on matches that's coming up. So be on the lookout for those match and moment of the night. That is very cool. Another thing we are going to introduce that's new this year, and we are going to start doing it here maybe next week, is promo of the week. Okay? Not a lot of the eFed universe gets to see all of your terrific promos that you guys put out. So we collectively in the creative team are going to select what we think is exclusive promo worthy. In that regards, meaning we'll be hyping it up and promoting it on the YouTube page as well as other social media markets. And, I think it's important that the creative team is choosing this because, the fans can be a little biased. That's how it's supposed to be, right? You're supposed to like people, supposed to not like people. But, we don't want the same people getting this exclusive. Now, of course, if you're putting out bomb-ass promos, you're going to be in the drawings for that almost every time. So hopefully this is something that'll boost everybody's motivation to get out there and stand in front of the camera and put out a good quality video promo. Another thing that I'm really excited about, guys, 3-dub throwbacks. We're going to be doing this once a week. We'll probably be showcasing this sometime after Guaranteed Money, maybe sometime before if I get a little frog. But this is going to be a moment where we showcase a match or a bigger moment, if you will, throughout the history of worldwide wrestling. So that's going to be kind of cool. And I know some of the stuff we have done, half of our history has that good old Michael Cole commentary, but I will be talking over these matches and moments that we highlight and kind of giving some relevancy to them and talking about what was going on then. And maybe even in the future, I can get the talent involved to do that as well. So those are some cool things. And we've, of course, got this, the Pillar to Post podcast, guys. This in itself is going to be very important. You're going to want to keep up with this, right? We do bi-weekly programs. So it's hard to remember, especially if you're in a few companies. It's hard to remember exactly what's going on. We're not talking to you every single day. So having this podcast in the middle of the two takedown shows, I think is very important. Gives you guys the opportunity to tune into something, have a little piece of content, and it's audible, right? You can pop it in your headphones, put your phone in your pocket, go throughout your day, listen to this podcast, and enjoy yourself some 3-dub. So that is cool. You're going to get some things here that you're not going to necessarily get throughout the rest of the 3-dub world, right? We're going to do some exclusive interviews. We've got one today, in fact. And we're going to do some other different things. So be sure to be on the lookout and tune in to your Pillar to Post podcast. There's some expectations, mind you, that we're going to be having in Season 7. 3-dub has done an amazing job through its 7 years, which is a long, long time of maturing and growing. And we do something, and I don't want to sit out here and say that we're not an eFed, right? Because we are. At the bottom line, we are. Call 2K eFed. And I don't want to say that we're much different than most people, but we do things a little bit differently when it comes to storytelling, right? We're not just gathering a group of matches or putting, whatever. We're not just throwing things together. We're actually telling some stories here. We're telling some pretty deep, long-term stories, and if there's something that 3-dub can do, it's actually get into your emotions a little bit, and I think that is pretty cool because that's what wrestling is supposed to be. So we pitch this idea of being like a real Fed, right? And it's goofy, but it's, we give you the realest experience of a wrestling company that we can, right? You got the promos, which, by the way, I'm not expecting you to drop 3, 4, 5 promos in between shows. Listen, if you can get a promo out, it's 2 weeks. That's not, I mean, that's not a long time. There should be no excuse to get one promo out in 2 weeks. But the fact of the matter is this: you get your promo out, your opponent gets his promo out. Chances are you're doing 2 or 3 over the span of that time. There doesn't have to be that. But I am going to be expecting you guys to tell this story. I guess now I might have to cut off here and say this is probably more Mr. Drew talking than Dewey. But I digress. We're going to be expecting you guys to tell your story. That's what it's all about. So be sure to be out there putting in your work, and everything will come together like a giant puzzle, and it's beautiful. With that, I'm going to encourage people to work together, work with your opponents, work with the members of creative that reach out to you. You're not going to get anywhere being mad, right? If you're angry or upset about something, you got to talk about it. You got to figure it out, or neither side of the party is doing their part. So I encourage everybody to work together, get through any issues there may be, and I promise you, in the end, you'll find some very fun work that can be happened here. You will be seeing, I must mention this first. If you're a listener, that's great, and we appreciate you for sure. But if you're a talent and you're listening, remember that you are a talent first and a viewer second. Okay, so your segment is very important to the show, so you must be a talent first and a viewer to the rest of the show second. And just because you may know some things doesn't mean you know exactly what's going to happen in the match or in the show. So it's always great to tune in and find out for sure. You will see some members of talent relations going around. I mentioned that. Hayden has stepped up to a big role as one of the main talent relations guys. So he will be reaching out mostly to people. Be sure to take his information, and, there shouldn't be any issues. But if there is, just contact me. I'm sure there won't be, but be on the lookout for Hayden and some other people. Most of the other people that have been a part of the creative team. So there is some things I want to talk about with the game. The game is very well, I think. I really like the 2K22 game. I think they did a great job. Some people are going to down it. I'm not going to down it. I think it has tremendous graphics. I don't even have PS5 yet, but what I've got, it has tremendous graphics, and I can only imagine what it'll be like when I upgrade consoles. But, I think it's all well done, but there are some new things, of course, that I'm trying to get a little bit better control of. And also, there's some things that people don't realize, but as a producer, some of the things have changed. One thing is the pause button. Okay, the fade in and out of the pause screen is different. So that creates a little bit different of an approach that I have to take to cutting and finding the specific cut. So that may take a couple shows for me to get perfect. So just bear with me on some of that stuff. I'm sure some of you have noticed some of the little things that I have yet to fix. But what a show. Am I right? What a show. 122 views during live time. That is amazing. And I have to give an applause to everybody that was there and watched. Of course, 122 views is not nearly where we want to be, but it is a great showing for our live premiere. I do believe it was at like 188 or 190 at the 24-hour mark. So an additional 60 or 70, which is fantastic. So thank you to everybody that tuned in, and the 30 likes. Appreciate all of that. The 7 comments. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of the Match of the Night poll. We didn't have a Moment of the Night poll, I think for obvious reasons. But thank you. It was a great turnout, and we were really, really excited about it. Season 7. Episode 1, Takedown, Slam for the Troops edition, guys. in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And what a show it was. We have to address the elephant in the room first, and that is, of course, CFT buying the general manager contract. Now, there are a lot of questions that I have regarding this, and I tried to get a few of those questions from CFT when we were leaving the arena that night. So here is an exclusive little interview that I got from CFT. So check this out. This is after the show, leaving the arena in Fort Walton Beach, headed to the airport. I can only imagine that's where he was going. But I was going there, and this is what your new general manager had to say. All right, guys, I'm back here at Slam. I'm trying to find there he is right there. Hey, CFT, can you answer a couple questions here for me?
First and foremost, Dewey, yes, I will answer your questions. Secondly, I don't have much time. So if you want a more extensive interview, you're going to have to talk to my secretaries. But I will be gracious and give you a few minutes of my time. What do you want?
Okay. Well, I mean, I understand, but, something massive just happened here at the end of Takedown. You got to give us your thoughts. Please tell us, how did you purchase this general manager contract?
Dewey, I will tell you what I have told everyone else who has come up to me and asked me that question. And well, the answer is simple, okay? The way I purchased that contract is none of your damn business. It's nobody's business but my own and the people that helped me secure the contract. The names of those people will remain anonymous permanently. I will never disclose those names, just so that's understood right now. I bought that contract. I will not tell anyone the price that I paid for it. I will not tell anyone who helped me get it. Is that clear to you, Dewey Decimal System or Danielson or whatever the hell your name is?
Well, it is Danielson, and yes, I guess it's as clear as it can be, but let me ask you this, CFT. Why did you want to purchase this what are your goals here? What is the plans for purchasing the 3-Dub general manager's contract?
Well, I'll tell you why I bought the general manager's contract. You see, Chris Harris was an incompetent general manager who was biased towards the megastars. Every chance he got, he tried to make their lives a miserable hell. And I just could not stand for it anymore, Dewey. It was just terrible. I mean, Chris Harris did a terrible job as general manager. It makes me wish that Corey Heck would have stayed around, but no. Mr. Drew just had to go and get this buffoon from some trailer park in northern Ohio, and now 3-Dub is in a state of ruin because of him. Who books two megastars against each other? We're talking about one of the most dominant factions this business has seen in a long time, and Chris's only idea is to book them against each other. Imagine what they could do against other people as a unit. But no, Chris wasn't having that, now was he? You see, that's why I bought the general manager's contract, because I have business knowledge. I have worked in corporate environments for a long time. We're talking several years now, and we're talking about a man who graduated from Harvard, okay? I have a college education, an Ivy League education, may I add, and Chris Harris's education is probably from some community college outside of some meth lab, okay? I am the one who is smart, intelligent, and knows what the hell they're doing. Chris doesn't know these things. Next question.
Okay, well, I know you have to go. I see your agent or whoever, your security, trying to get you to go here, but I got to ask one more question. You're talking a lot about the megastars, and Chris being on not with are you with them? It sounds an awfully lot like you're with them. Are you going to be biased here? Something you're claiming Chris was. What's your deal here?
Well, let me make one thing clear, because there seems to be a lot of confusion there. I am not, nor will I ever be, a megastar. I am not a megastar. I do not need James Black. I do not need Dylan Mason. I do not need Hollywood Watkins. I don't need anyone in between to make a name for myself. I have done that just fine on my own. Think of what I've been able to do. After my parents sadly passed away and I earned all their money, I have taken that money and I have made an empire out of Townsend Enterprises. And now, well, let's just say I've decided to step out of there and become the general manager. But that's another story for another time. No, I am not a megastar, Dewey. Though I do see the potential in the megastars, I do see the value in the megastars. There is one thing, Dewey, and you can go ask Mr. Drew this right now. You can go to his office, march in there and ask him. The megastars bring in more money than anyone else in the back. It doesn't matter who the hell we're talking about here. We could be talking about Jack Harvey. We could be talking about Sandra Cool. We could be talking about anyone in between. No one brings in the revenue that James Black, Dylan Mason, and Hollywood Watkins bring in collectively. These guys are the biggest names in our business today, bar none, and it is not debatable. So Dewey, oh crap. Okay, Joe. Joe is the name of my security guard. I gotta go, Dewey. It's been real, I guess. But again, if you want a more extensive interview, you're gonna have to give me a little bit of a prior notice here because I don't have the kind of time to do interviews at any given time, you know.
Well, there you have it. That is what he was saying there at the end of the show. I was kind of, I wasn't really surprised with, first of all, his reaction. I haven't had too many interactions with CFT. Of course, he was around at Big Event 5. I know he's been around a few times, but haven't had very many interactions with the new general manager. And this was, I thought this would be more of an important one, especially being in his new position and knowing who I am, the commentator here. So I thought he would be a little bit more laxed. I won't say he was unprofessional. I won't say he was an asshole or anything like that. But and it was a big moment, and I'm sure there was a lot going on. But I wish I would have got a little bit more out of him. Maybe that is for another time. But I've got to give my thoughts on this, and I'm sure there's a lot of people, especially in the chat, listening to this premiere on YouTube that are applauding Mr. CFT. I think Chris Harris was doing a fantastic job. We've had a lot of general managers since Mad Eighth Star a couple seasons ago. We've been through the Mad GM Russell franchise. We've been through a little course of Corey Heck, right? And then we get Chris Harris. And Chris was probably going to be one of the fairest down the middle guys that could have been in that position. Especially coming from where he's coming from, right? He just did a tag team stint with the Red Army, and you think that this would be some miracle. No, this was just Chris doing the right thing, right? The time was up with him in the Red Army. Excuse me. And I think he knew that Red was taking some time off, and the titles were going to be relinquished. Chris wanted to do the right thing, and I think that was the moment that showed me that Chris was going to be the right man for the job, because he stepped outside of all of that he was doing to be the man in charge and do the right thing. And everything that he did was the right thing. So I had my hats off to Chris Harris. As far as CFT goes, I'm not even sure how this is possible, what he did, purchasing the contract, but we seen the phone call at the beginning of the night on Takedown for Mr. Drew, and he was kind of shocked. So we kind of had a little cliff note right there. We just couldn't put it all together yet. But it was done. It was done. So there's not much you can do about it. If it weren't able to happen, then I'm sure upper management or even legal terms in that matter would have put an end to it. But they didn't. So it aired on live TV, and it is what it is. You have a new general manager. We can only see where things are going to go from here. He's saying he's going to be fair, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. He has nothing to gain. He has all the money that he needs, right? I guess. He has everything that he needs. So I don't know. We'll see. But we had a lot of other things going on, of course, guys. That wasn't the only thing that happened, although it was moment of the night. CFT buying the general manager's contract. Be sure to go check that out on YouTube. But we also had a lot of big returns at Takedown Slam. There was Matt Eighth Star at the beginning of the show. What a big return. And what a good to almost 2 full years since being retired at the hands of Dylan Mason at Guaranteed Money. I want to say season 5. So it's been a long time for Matt. We know he's done some work outside of Worldwide Wrestling. We know he's done some work in HWA and some indie work. And I believe some work overseas, but it's good. It's good to see Matt back in the ring. It's good to see if he's going to have that ring rust like a lot of superstars do when they come back after a long hiatus like that. I don't think he will, though, because like I said, he's been working. And he says he's ready. So, but somebody else who says they're ready, but I haven't seen working prior to this show, another return, another former general manager, and it's funny because Remy mentions this later in the show. And I don't really put the puzzle pieces together until he does mention it, but Russell Franchise also making his return in the ring, though. And, of course, he gets a big loss to, Crimson Wolf. Guaranteed Money qualifying match. Some people had Russ winning this matchup just because he's been a former Guaranteed Money winner and successfully cashed in, and that was what went on to that infamous Bay championship run by the Mad King, if you will. But he didn't. And that ring rust that we talk about. Franchise maybe a little bit too much of it. Maybe he should have worked a little bit on the downtime that he had. But nonetheless, Crimson Wolf getting the big win, advancing to Guaranteed Money. But that wouldn't be the end of his night. So if you've been watching, in Season 6, we had this mysterious being show up at the end of the season, and he was targeting a bunch of UCW alumni, and he was putting sheep masks on everybody that he attacked. And then he started to focus in and target Euroan Mercury. And then at the end of Season 6, it was revealed that this mysterious person was in fact Crimson Wolf, making his way to Worldwide Wrestling, and he attacked Euroan and sent his message. Well, not tonight, but at Slam, Euroan got his receipt. After the match, Crimson Wolf celebrating his Guaranteed Money win, you get Euroan, who has been real quiet. He's been waiting for this moment. Am I right? He's been waiting for this moment to come where Crimson may have been expecting it, but wasn't expecting it. And that's exactly what happened. And with a kendo stick, Euroan takes out Wolf after the match. And he didn't stop there, because with Guaranteed Money coming in just a few weeks, right? And the smart mind that is of the Mercury brother, he grabs a ladder and continues to attack Wolf with a ladder. Now that is sending a very big message, if you ask me. There was another return in the form of the women's division. If you can remember, Athena trying to call out Nightshade, or at least give her one last opportunity to come to the ring and stake claim to this match that's supposed to happen. Back at Texas Stampede, both women feet touched down at the same time. ending the Stampede matchup, double elimination, vacating the women's championship. It was announced that on the return show at Takedown Slam, they would have a match, but shortly after that, Nightshade, who's been dealing with some nagging injuries, has been informed by a doctor that she needs to take some time off. So that takes her out of this matchup. Although it has been some time since she made that statement, she did say she wanted to transition to management form, if you would, manager, in which we did see her in the corner of John Awesome later. We'll talk about that. But Nightshade can't compete. And maybe Athena was rubbing it in a little bit. I'm not sure what she was doing. Maybe she was doing the right thing and giving her the opportunity, because it has been some time. And maybe Nightshade was feeling a little froggy. And maybe even if she knew she was going to lose, maybe she could do it in a fighting manner. Or maybe it was to prevent her from getting that championship opportunity when she does come back, because that is going to be in the balance. Now, you do have 90 days. That's the clause here in Worldwide Wrestling. You get injured, or you have to relinquish the title in any form that's not for your reason. You have 90 days. That's a long time, 3 months. A lot of people say it's too long. I think it's too long. But 90 days, I mean, if you get injured, you have a big injury, it's not your fault. Even if it is your fault. Accidents happen in the ring. Gives you that opportunity. Come back and get a chance. But no, we don't get Nightshade. She's not cleared by a doctor. She's cleared to be at ringside, but not cleared to be in any sort of matchup. But we get a returning leader of the Star Squad, Mrs. Sandy Stars. That's right, coming out in her notable pink and white starred outfit. It was a big moment. The Slam fans, the troops, everybody in attendance, very happy to see Sandy Stars until there was that moment. And we'll get to that in just a second. But Sandy, taking advantage of being a 5-time 3-dub women's champion herself, just like Athena, taking her maybe veterans card here and pulling it out. And I don't blame her for doing that. You look at the roster, you got a couple of former champs. You got some up-and-coming superstars in the women's division. It's not a very big division, but it's strong nonetheless. But there's 2 superstars in the division that are standout superstars in 3-dub and have been here for a long, long time. And Athena and Sandy are their names. And they're both former 5-time champions. So why not? I agree with Sandy. Step up to the plate. If there's anybody in the back that deserves this spot, it's me. And I agree with her. But we didn't get a response from Athena. And I don't know if this angered Sandy. I don't know if it clicked in her mind. I don't know if this is something she had planned on her way out there. But then we get something that we don't expect Sandy to do, and that is attack Athena and spear her off of the apron as she is leaving the ring. What? I don't think so. I didn't just see that happen. But I did just see it happen. So it's reality. It happened. Sandy did that. We're not sure why she did that, but I'm sure we will find out. Maybe she just wants that match, you know? We're talking about 6-time women's championship here in 3-dub. That's a big thing. That's a big deal. So we'll see. And then last but not least, I've been talking about returns here. Juice James. Big return. Nope. Ian and Sander were hoping so. Of course, they're out here calling out Juice James, trying to get him to return. Ian has some sort of vendetta with Juice and wanting to have a big matchup with him and maybe prove to him that he is on his level or whatever it may be. Ian really wants this matchup. He's getting frustrated so much, and it's showing, and it's changing his character, really. He has not been the same person over the past, since he's won that hardcore championship. And we'll talk about that. But we don't get Juice James. We get Savio Shine. Now, I know many of you newer viewers probably don't know who Savio Shine is. He was a big part of Season 3, a little bit of Season 2 as well. So he's a veteran of Worldwide Wrestling, if you will. A former Extreme Television champion. And no stranger to the hardcore division. So this is a perfect fit for him. And he has history with Juice. And I don't know if he has any words of encouragement for Ian or for Sander, but he obviously is trying to steer Ian in a different direction. Because maybe he thinks, Ian, you don't want to mess with all that. Or who knows? Maybe he just doesn't care about any of it and he wants that hardcore championship. Because like I said, been prone to the hardcore title. So we get an impromptu triple threat. Ian, Sander, and Savio. Ian's frustration is off the chain. Sander is trying to calm Ian down and get him to focus and figure out what is going on and not be so angry about all this. But here's Ian smacking Sander with a kendo stick, saying, I don't care what you say. So this impromptu hardcore title match breaks out, and you think that Savio might take it. And then Sander Cool does. So Sander Cool, for a brief moment, becomes hardcore champion. But that only lasted a moment, as I mentioned. Because just like at Texas Stampede, when Justin the Living Legend won the hardcore championship from Ian, Ian has used chaos to his advantage. And if you're not familiar with chaos, it is a situation with the hardcore championship that opens up somewhat of a sort of 24-hour rule, where the championship is on the line at any given time during production hours. That used to be a very, very big thing back in Savio's time, if you will, but not so much anymore. It's really much more conservative because things can get really out of hand, and a lot of superstars were getting injured in chaos, so people take it with a grain of salt. But if the opportunity is there, then they take it. And if you're the champion, the opportunity is almost always there if you lose the title, because now you've got that chance to quickly get the championship back. Now, that wasn't the case at Stampede because Ian waited until they were number 1 and 2 in the Rumble, and then they were eliminated, and he won the title on the way backstage. But in this instance, Sander wins the title and almost immediately is speared almost in half by Ian, who then recovers his hardcore championship. So not too sure what's going on between Ian and Sander. Sander's trying to make things better for Ian, but Ian's not having it. And now Savio's in the mix. You can only wonder what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Ian is going to be back out there to call out Juice James on the next episode of Takedown. How do I know that? He told me so. So we're going to have to wait and find out about that. But we'll see. A lot going on there. I want to switch gears here a little bit to the Battle Brawl. That was an interesting matchup. We got to see some former 3-Dub superstars making their returns. We got to see some new superstars making their returns. Or debuts, I might say. Hunter Deal, Chino Gambino, and Darius Carter, all former champions here in Worldwide Wrestling in this matchup. Tyler Justice, Dominator Dominic, two superstars who have been around the block before in 3-Dub. We're no strangers. Justice with a little bit of a new look. Looking good out there. I love that entrance with the fire. That was fantastic. And then Mad Dog X, Money Mike, and Alpha Male. 3 new superstars in this matchup. I do believe MDX and Money Mike were in the Stampede matchup. But this was their first takedown, as well as alpha male. All good showings from everybody. I think Money Mike may have had the most eliminations. Was looking good in that department. But ultimately, it would be Carter. Darius Carter, the veteran, representing the Red Army, getting the victory here and dumping MDX over, I believe. Or maybe it was Money Mike. Yes, Money Mike was the one who came down to it with Carter. And then MDX was in that third slot. Very good. Final three they were. Eliminations left and right out of the bat. And then it was kind of cool to see how, as the match lost opponents, it started to slow down. So that was pretty cool. And good win for Carter, who I am now going to be able to announce, and it has been already announced and leaked on social media, that Darius Carter is now going to, with that win he had, get a guaranteed money qualifying match with none other than the returning Matt 8th Star. So that should be cool, because we all know the history, at least not all of us, but most of us, some of us should know the history between Matt 8th Star and King Red of the Red Army. A big 3 stages of hell match, I believe, in Season 3 or Season 4 at Hardcore Halloween. So that'll be cool to see Carter, the veteran, against Matt 8th Star, the veteran. They both entered the company around the same time, Season 1. Before Season 1, actually. So that's fantastic. And that is, of course, on the next episode of Takedown, which is announced for Tampa, Florida. Next Tuesday, be sure to be there in attendance. Next up, Match of the Night. Match of the Night, all over YouTube and social media. You want to check that out. Match of the Night was a tag team match from the women's division. Got a total of 37 votes in the poll that was released on Facebook. And we are going to do polls a little bit differently, because Instagram and YouTube both accept polls, but they only have a limit of 5. So we think we're going to start doing... We're not going to do the whole card, because as you can see on every poll we've released, there's been a few matches or moments that don't get any votes. We don't want to do that. So we'll limit it to 5, the 5 best matches and moments, and it'll be on more social media outlets. In this case, we got 37 votes on Facebook, in the 3Dub Facebook page, if you will, which is essentially our locker room, right? 7 votes go to third place, Megastar Mason and Hollywood Watkins in their guaranteed money qualifying match. 10 votes going to the main event, James Black and Jack Harvey for the Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. And then 16 votes for your winner, which is the tag team match of Cruella the Vamp and Lenore Lynn versus Diana Grace and Anna Perez. And what a match that was. As we anticipated some tension, and we got some tension between Anna Perez and Diana Grace. We know that Anna was the one that exposed Diana at Stampede Rumble when she was trying to hide under the ring during the match. So it was interesting to see these two get paired up as a tag team. But nonetheless, they did, and it looked like they were going to tag very well together. In fact, they were keeping Cruella out of the match and focusing on Lenore, and they were working really good together. And that's when things started to fall apart, when Anna had her back turned when Diana was looking for a tag, and then Anna jumped off the apron when Diana was looking for a tag, and then Cruella and Lenore started to work a lot better, so the tides started to change, and because of that, Lenore and Cruella get the win, and it was a great matchup. I think it went almost 20 minutes long. A fight forever match, if you will. So that was fantastic, and hats off to those ladies for that matchup and getting that award, the first match of the night here in season 7. And what a big match of the night to be, too, because you got, man, like I said, those two others, number 2 and number 3, the world title match, and then the qualifying with Mason and Watkins. I mean, wow. Those are two big matches to beat, especially by the margin. So that's good. But like I said, on the next polls for match and moment of the night, be expecting them on more social media outlets in which we will combine all the results and go from there. So we mentioned guaranteed money, right? Coming up in Miami, Florida. Just a couple of weeks. Got 2 more episodes of Takedown before then. But we had some big qualifying matchups for guaranteed money. We've already mentioned Crimson Wolf going over Russell Franchise. We talked about Mason and Hollywood Watkins, and we're going to expand on that here because we weren't sure if they were going to fight or not. We've seen an instance like this. I believe it was at Texas Stampede. They were going against each other. The tag titles were on the line. Loki and Mason against Omega and Watkins. And we've seen some playing around and not really taking anything serious. You've seen a title transfer, then a title transfer back. And it wasn't really pretty. It was for them. And it was if you're a Megastar fan. But for 3-Dub, it wasn't. And we thought we were going to get that here. We thought we were going to get them playing around and playing games and not really taking this seriously. But we got something different. We see that the Megastars can fight one another. Maybe they don't want to, but they can. And they did. And it was a great matchup. Match number 3 on Poll of the Night. But nonetheless, it was Watkins that would take the fall, and Mason will advance to guaranteed money. But this does one thing, guys. It solidifies that there is a megastar in the guaranteed money match. And a megastar could win the guaranteed money briefcase. Right now, a megastar has the championship. So that's very interesting, nonetheless. Mason goes over, but we did see what we expected, right? Shaking of the hands before the match. The shaking of the hands after the match. They even came to the ring together with their tag team championships and celebrated together. Very interesting, if you ask me. There was a third qualifying matchup, and that was Jason the American Outlaw Michaels with his Southern Smoke Boys at ringside. We'll get to that in just a second. And going against him was a man by the name of Kurt Brooks. We've seen a little scuffle with them back in Season 6. Brooks was taunting SBJ, if you will. And it was Outlaw that would step up to him. We wouldn't get anything at that point. They did scuffle a little bit in the Texas Stampede matchup, but it was this matchup where they would come in contact for the first time. In fact, this was Brooks' first in-ring competition, and what a big win it is for him, not only advancing to guaranteed money, but also beating a former international champion in Outlaw Jason Michaels. But you can't give it all to Jason Michaels, and he's mentioned this, and all 3 of them have mentioned this before, but they don't necessarily need each other at ringside, and maybe the reason for that being is for what happened at guaranteed money. You know, it's all fun and games. But when it's serious, it's serious. And Money Mike, even though he went on to have a good night in the Battle Brawl that we talked about, in this moment, he was a little bit too much. And a little bit too much enough to get noticed by the referee and thrown out of ringside. So that's got to weigh on your mind a little bit. Your buddy just got tossed out. And not to mention that, you got this new guy who we have yet to see in 3-Dub. Our first time seeing him. Sleazy Dreams. Interesting character. I really don't know what to think of him, but he's dancing and doing all kinds of things on the outside. You can't say that Outlaw's mind was 100% where it should have been. Maybe I'm not blaming that on the Southern Smoke Boys. Maybe I'm not blaming that on Brooks. Maybe it's just a combination of things. But nonetheless, Brooks gets the win and advances. So far you got Kurt Brooks, Dylan Mason, and Crimson Wolf. Wow. And who will advance Darius Carter or Matt Eighth Star? Interesting. We also got a big international championship match that was announced on Slam. And I'm kind of surprised we didn't see this at Slam. But nonetheless, we have new talent that John Awesome is going to face. And we did get a brief moment of seeing this new talent's showcased ability. And I might say this Jason Dixon is going to bring a lot to the table here, guys. Very athletic, very quick, and has been around the business in the indies and all over the world. He's bringing a lot to the table. That's just the least I'll say about it, right? It's going to be fun to watch this superstar grow here in Worldwide Wrestling, but he doesn't get that chance to do that here. And Joe Rivers sent his message earlier in the night. And maybe Chris Harris wasn't listening, or maybe there was a lot going on, but Joe Rivers did exactly what he said he was going to do, and he came out here and he attacked John Awesome, causing the disqualification. He needed to send that message that he is the number one contender for whatever reason. He needed everybody to know. Maybe he didn't want Jason Dixon to win and get that opportunity. I'm not sure, but for whatever reason, Rivers comes out here, sends his message to John Awesome, and now it's official. At Guaranteed Money, John Awesome defending the International Championship against Joe Rivers. I think Joe's got a chip on his shoulder. I think he's got a lot to prove here. He's been climbing a very rocky hill, but he's been doing it nonetheless, and he's right here at the peak of it. So can Joe do what it takes to overcome John Awesome, or does John have his grasp on that championship? We'll find out. Next, there was a 6-man tag, and these two teams, guys, can't keep it together, that's for sure. It seems like every time they come in contact, no matter where they are, it's some sort of brawl, and that's exactly what happens here as a disqualification breaks out when Will King starts just flailing on GSK, B Block, and Hired Gun at ringside. And that prompts the rest of Heel Money to come darting across the ring, knocking everybody off the apron, and the next thing you know, there's a brawl breaking out. And I'm not sure what referee was involved at that time. It might have been Marcus Morgan, but whoever it was called for the disqualification and couldn't get it under control. But eventually did, and when it did, it was Will King and Kang Rio face to face, and it could have gone down right there in that moment, but it didn't. It didn't, and Will King called him out on that. But I think it's more of a patience thing. Everything was coming to an end. Everybody, you can't fight forever in there, realistically. Somebody's got to walk away at one point, or they're going to be dragged away from each other. Maybe that's what it'll get to, but right now, the patience game by Kang Rio. You're going to talk about closing a chapter. We're going to talk about the show opener for Slam. After Chris Harris comes out and thanks the troops, and then introduces Matt, and then we get Matt, great speech. Welcome back. We have a fantastic triple threat opener for the newly instated United States Championship. Closing the chapter. That's what this was dubbed. Because it was the end of the resistance. Finally, here in Worldwide Wrestling, one of the greatest tag team champions to step foot in this company finally have dissolved. It's going to be interesting to see where these three characters go in their careers. But right now, Dargus continues to hold that United States Championship. I think he can move on. I think Barnes Reed can move on. I think the one that's going to have the hardest time moving on will be Martrix. And I say that because he was so adamant about getting back at his brother. And now that he has the championship, and Dargus is going his own way, and we're talking about the end of the resistance, it seems as if maybe in Martrix's eyes, Dargus has won. He's won. the end game, Dargis stands tall with the championship. But they shook hands. They shook hands, and I think that means they both win. Right? And I think if Barnes-Reed wasn't hurting as much outside of the ring, he would have been right there shaking their hands as well. But it was a respect thing, and we've seen that. So do we get that respect carried on into takedowns and whatnot? Or is it officially over? We'll find out. I think it's over. I think they're all going to be ready to move on except Martrix. And I think once he realizes that they're not paying attention no more, I won't say paying attention because it's brothers. But when it's not on Dargis's radar anymore, and it's not on Barnes-Reed's radar anymore, I think that's when it'll sink in for Martrix. But it could take some time. And that takes us to the main event. From the show opener to the show closer. And what a main event this was. I'm still shocked. I still don't know what to say. Because, like I said, I back Chris Harris as a general manager. And I think what he was about to do in the main event is exactly what needed to be done. Because think about it. That referee, as we seen at the end of the match, James Black tossing the referee out, there obviously was something going on there. Blatant low blows. And there was a moment where we weren't sure if Black had hit this referee or if Jack had knocked Black into the referee. It was kind of hard to see at the angle we got. But it looked to me like James was upset with something that the ref was doing at that moment. And was calling him out on it. And again, blatant low blows. You know, world championship matches in 3-dub have no countouts. So they're all over outside. And Jack gets his hits in. And I'm going to tell you right now, nobody has really taken James Black to this level. And I don't think we're done yet. CFT mentions that there's going to be something coming next. So we're not done yet. And this was just a little taste. Because I think we got a lot to get from Jack Harvey still. But Jack was sticking in there. He's done fantastic over these last few months. He's been in a multi-man match defending the championship. And one more notable match off the top of my head. Beating Remy Reznor at the end of the season. Beating Sander Cool. Lance Hagen. He's beat some big names. And this moment wasn't Jack Harvey's loss, right? I think everybody watching can agree with it. That wasn't Jack's loss. It was James's win, but it wasn't Jack's loss. Because Jack's going to come back better than ever now. That's a moment that James probably will wish that he hadn't have done. And he's done a lot of crazy things in his career. But Jack took it to James Black. He was giving him a little taste of his own medicine, slamming him on steel chairs, slamming him on the steel steps. Jack was giving everything to James Black, and not very many people have done that. So it wasn't Jack's loss. It was James's win. It wasn't Jack's loss. And the fast count. Haven't even mentioned that yet. The fast count. 1, 2, 3. I've never seen a fast count like that in my entire career here in Worldwide Wrestling. I haven't seen it any other place. And it was out of nowhere. And it was smooth. And it was a good job by that referee. But it wasn't right. And Chris Harris was coming to make that right. And whether all of you people out there think so or not, Chris was coming to do the right thing. He was coming out there to restart that match. He was going to put a new referee in the match. And he was going to restart it and make sure, I would imagine he was going to stand right there and hold James Black's hand and make sure he got through this match the right way. But that's not what happened. As we all know, moment of the night, CFT comes on the Titantron and mentions that he purchases the general manager contract. How he did it, what strings he pulled, people he knows, who knows? Nobody stopped it, so it happened. And in the midst of this, CFT fires Chris Harris. I don't know if that totally means he's out of 3Dub, but I know that means he's out of the general manager's job. So what's going on with Chris? What are we going to expect from that? But that's not it. CFT appoints himself as GM and announces that the match will not restart, and that James Black is your new undisputed heavyweight champion, putting an end to Jack's 230-plus day reign, becoming the first 3-time world champion in all of 3Dub ever. And it shouldn't have happened. But it did. And there's nothing that we can do about that but wait and see what the new general manager has in store. Or wait and see maybe if Mr. Drew has something to say about it, because I'm sure he does. But maybe his hands are tied here. I didn't know you could purchase the contract like that, but apparently you can. So anything is possible. Well, with that, guys, I think we're going to move on here. That was a great show. It was a great return show. Episode 1 of Takedown Season 7. And again, I thank everybody for showing up. I'm going to talk about a couple more things before we wrap up the show. So Legend, Justin the Living Legend, he's taking a little hiatus from the company. And I think we're going to go back and check out one of his last promos here and kind of get a glimpse into what he's thinking.
Finally, we've got a new GM. It's great to have a new GM, but it doesn't mean that it's enough to bring me back. Every problem I have, the problems I have are because of the system. You're going to have to try harder to get me back, 3Dub, to get me back, CFT. Things need to change. I see things changing for the better, but they haven't changed the way that they should. We're still relying on losers, has-beens, never was, idiots. But yet I'm the problem. I'm the issue. It's not enough to just have a new GM. It's not enough to have somebody I like in a place of power. It's not enough.
So I'm not too sure what to expect coming up from Justin, but it sounds like he's definitely not wanting to be a part of any show. And we know he's under contract, so there's not much he can do from that. Maybe CFT will buy his contract. I'm not sure what's going to happen from that, but definitely something to be noting and paying attention to, because you never know where this could be going, really. It could be legal terms. I don't know. Justin is really pushing the boundaries here with 3Dub management, and again, like I said, he's under contract. And what he's supposed to do, or what his contract requires, or whatever it may, I don't know any of that. So we'll find out. But what is next for Takedown, guys? We're going to quickly go through this and see what's going to happen next week on Takedown. And I am excited. We're going to be going to Tampa, Florida, still here in the Sunshine State. Next Tuesday, June 14th will be the date. And we have a lot going on here, too. It's probably not going to be as big as the Return Takedown Slam show, but a jam-packed show nonetheless in Tampa. Expect to hear from your general manager, CFT. There's a lot to be said, a lot of questions to be answered. I don't think we got enough out of him in that little interview that I got after the show last week. So I'd expect to hear a little bit more from him. And he says he's going to say something about the title match, the title situation. Will there be a rematch? I'm sure there is. Jack Harvey has his rematch clause. Just when will it be? Will it be next week on Takedown? That's the big question. Is he going to pop out the rematch randomly right away? Or will he wait? Or how long will he wait? That's the big question. I think we've got to wait to find all of that out from him, and I'd expect to hear it on this show. Also expect to hear from all of your guaranteed money match entrants already. Brooks, Mason, Wolf, I would imagine that they are going to be in attendance for this show and that they are going to be bringing their verbiage as far as what they have to say about their opponents coming up for the guaranteed money match and maybe for anything they got going on the show next week. I don't know. We're going to find out. But I have to say, man, those three names right there, what a big money match it's shaping up to be already. But we've got more qualifying matches. Of course, it's a 6-man ladder match for the briefcase at Guaranteed Money. We have 3 entrants already. And we've already mentioned that Matt 8th Star will be in a qualifying match with Darius Carter of the Red Army. So that'll be a fantastic match to watch and see what happens. Also, we've got another one. Our 5th qualifying match coming up here on the next episode of Takedown. And we are going to get All Rise Tony Mercer, who we've been hearing a lot from, actually, lately. Going up against Euroan Mercury. How about this? An opportunity for Mercury to enter that guaranteed money match that Crimson Wolf just entered. Or will Wolf prevent Euroan from entering the match? I don't know. We're going to have to find out. Okay? Tune into the show and see what happens. But nonetheless, Carter and 8th Star, guaranteed money qualifying. Mercer and Mercury, guaranteed money qualifying. 2 more matches on Takedown. We've seen Remy all over the show at Slam, and he was trying to send the warning signs to Chris Harris to what evidently would happen at the end of the show. Remy's seen it coming. But Remy was also upset about not being involved on this card, and I kind of have to level with him on this too. What is going on with that? Chris Harris so focused on getting these megastars on the card, a faction that he is not happy with, his enemies, if you will, and not so much worried about getting one of his good friends on the card. Not just that, the Season 6 MVP, highest honor, winner, not on the return show card. I'm tripping over my words because it's confusing me so much. But nonetheless, we will get a match with Remy next week, and that is going to be against Russell Franchise. So does Russell, has he shaken off enough of that ring rust to get in this match with Remy and try to catch this W? I don't know. We're going to find out, though, and I keep saying that because we are going to find out next week in Tampa on Takedown. I'm excited to watch that one, guys. I really am. Russell and Remy. MVP back in action. So we talked about Martrix earlier, and Dargus not getting a match here as I'm looking over the card next week. But I do believe the champion will be in attendance because he's going to want to watch this and make sure that his brother is going to be on his own route. Okay, I think he's going to be able to know if Martrix is still wanting to get at Dargus in any fashion by watching this match that's going to take place next week. So Martrix is going to be in action against Mad Dog X. Guy put up a great showing in the Battle Bash at Slam, being one of the final 3. But he's going to get his first singles match here against Martrix. So MDX, we're going to see what he can do. in the ring, and we're going to see if Martrix is still clouded by this resistance situation or if he has indeed moved on. And like I said, I'd imagine the U.S. champ Dargus, his brother, is going to be there to ensure that notion. I also mentioned Ian calling out Juice James. He has told me, I've talked with Ian, the Scottish Warrior, the hardcore champion. Very frustrated Ian is. And he's frustrated because he really wants this match with Juice James, and he wants him to come answer him. We know how Juice operates. That's not going to happen. Ian's hoping it does, and some first time ever Juice answers somebody when they ask him to answer. It's probably not going to happen, though. And that's what's frustrating Ian the most, because he knows it's going to take time, and he doesn't have time. And being the hardcore champion, it's a perfect opportunity to call out somebody like Juice and establish yourself and establish that championship as being one to be wanted and earned by other superstars. And that's what Ian's concern is. He wants to be able to show the people and to show veterans like Juice James that he is, in fact, a superstar who can leave his mark and leave his name on something. And it doesn't stop with the Hardcore Championship. That's just the beginning for him. But again, this frustration in getting there and trying to get there through Juice James and not getting that direct answer that he's looking for. And then there's Sander. Sander getting in his way. So he says. Sander's just trying to do the right thing and calm him down. He's been there before with Juice. So he kind of knows. And so does Savio. And they're all maybe subliminally trying to send this message to Ian, and he's not taking it. Maybe he should. But he's going to try it again. At least he says. He's going to be out there on Takedown. He says he wants to do it alone. He doesn't want Sander to come out. He doesn't want Savio to come out. Nobody to come out. He wants Juice to come out. And we're going to see if that's going to happen. I don't think it will. I told him not to get his hopes up. But it might. We'll see. It could. Really, it could. Now that I think about it. Because he likes to set the stage. And we're getting close to guaranteed money. So if there is something brewing between Juice and Ian, and Juice feels that, then it now could be the time. And especially since he's calling off the guards, so to say, and wants to do this alone. So we're going to find out. So we know the big international championship match, guaranteed money. We know Rivers has been attacking Awesome from behind. Almost like a coward, if you will. I gotta say it because it is a cowardly action. But Rivers isn't portraying it as that. He is just saying he has his number, has the number of John Awesome, and he wants him to know that. And he wants him to know that he's number one contender and that's not changing. So he's sending that message. Awesome wants Joe Rivers face-to-face in the ring next week on Takedown. Will it happen? Stop coming at me from behind. Stop attacking me like that. I don't want a match. I don't have anything to say. I want to see you in the ring face-to-face next week. If there's something that needs to happen at that point, then it can happen. But at least it's going to be face-to-face. That's how John Awesome sees it. I'd imagine Joe Rivers is going to be there. But he might not. Maybe he wants to do things on his terms. He knows there's a title match now. Why would he have to go out there and do anything with John right now? He could not show up at all for the rest of the time. This week, or next episode, and the one after that, the go home episode. So will Joe show up? I think he will. But he has no reason to. So, I don't know. So it's Juice and Joe. We're waiting to see. Juice and Joe. We got some debuts here. We've talked about it. And we've talked about getting extreme. And I do that the best that I can. We're not necessarily meaning extreme, although there might be some weapons eventually. I don't know. But we are talking about a new debut in Worldwide Wrestling. One that I've been anticipating because I've been seeing this kid popping up recently. And apparently, he's laid a good footwork where he's at in XVPW. So we've seen him traveling abroad a little bit. It's going to be very interesting to see what he can bring to the table here in Worldwide Wrestling. So we're anticipating that. What we're going to get, I don't know. I'm just being told he's going to be there in some fashion. So is he going to be talking? Is he going to have a match? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out over the course of the next week. I don't know. Another new superstar, Drew Tanner, will be in action, making his debut. Heard a little bit about him in the past couple weeks since he's been a part of the company. Going to be going up against Dominator Dominic, who shared out some frustrations after losing the Battle Bash, mostly towards Legend, but you can't get a match with Legend right now. He asked for a match, but you can't get one because Legend's not showing up. Even if we were to book it, you would stand in the ring and not have anything. So at least you're getting something here. Management putting you up with a match against this new superstar. So we'll see how that goes. Some tag team matches, and talking about new superstars, we've got 2 tag team matches coming up on the next episode of Takedown. First up is going to see a brand new tag team of the Brass City Tyrants. That's right, a couple superstars that were picked up. A tag team mainly featuring on the Instagram network are going to make their way to Worldwide Wrestling. I'm very interested to see this tag team because they definitely put on a display. I'll say that much. I have seen some of their work. I've seen some of their promo work and some of their in-ring work. And I think they're going to be a great addition to Worldwide Wrestling. Now, they've got a lot to go up against. There's not a huge tag team division here, but there are a lot of individuals that tag that bring a lot to the table. So it's an evolving division. It's a growing division. And frankly, it's a new division. So they got a lot ahead of them, but I'm willing to see their eagerness, which means I am ready to see them put in the work here in Worldwide Wrestling and see if they can get the job done. Their opponents, 2 superstars coming off big losses, even though Money Mike putting on a good match, Outlaw putting on a good match, both at Slam. Fortunately, they come out with losses, but they've got an opportunity to redeem themselves here. Not Outlaw, that is, but Sleazy. And here's his first bit of action, teaming up with Money Mike to go against the Brass City Tyrants. And we've seen that Jason Outlaw will be at ringside for that matchup. So gonna be a good tag team match, I think, right there. And another tag matchup, of course, we've seen the Brawl from GSK and Heel Money at Slam, but we're going to narrow it down a little bit more here to a standard tag team match, 2-on-2. So 2 members from each team going to be going at it. We're not sure who. We think it could be Wade and Ace against Gunn and B-Block. We're still not 100% sure. Both teams have 4 members, so we'll see. But that is going to be interesting. Will they break out in another brawl? I don't know. Maybe they will. They probably will, because they always do. The Megastars will be in attendance. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The newly crowned, undisputed world champion, James Black, and the world tag team champions, Megastar Mason and Hollywood Watkins. All 3 will be in attendance to speak their mind, as they say, in this show next week in Tampa, Florida. I am extremely interested in this because I can't wait to see what they have to say now that all 3 of them have championships and that the looming madness will be in the air. You know it will, because Jack Harvey is not going to lay down easy from this. He put up the fight of his life and was screwed over in the end. I'm sorry, I get a little emotional about it, but he was screwed over in the end. So Jack's got to be here. I'm being told it's James Black Appreciation Night. Megastars Appreciation Night, whatever you want to call it, we're going to see what these three champions have to say. But in the main event, they've earned it. A number one contenders match, fatal four-way, women's division for the women's championship. Who is going to be the woman to face Athena at guaranteed money for the vacated championship? That's right. Athena hasn't officially been crowned the champion because she does have to compete in order to get that championship. So regardless of whatever she was doing last week, she has to compete. Sandy was right. So Sandy has stepped up to the plate, and she's in the match. Lenore and Cruella had one hell of a tag team match last week, and they're in the match. And of course, the former women's champion, before all of this happened, going into Stampede Rumble, Diana Grace. So the former champ, Diana Grace, Lenore Lynn, Cruella, and Sandy. Fatal four-way, number one contender. Who's facing Athena for the vacated championship? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to a part in the show that is going to be one of my favorites. Of course, just doing it first time, first episode. This part of the show, I'm going to be calling in a guest, and we're going to be doing what I'm going to be calling the fastest 2 minutes in wrestling. And I'm going to be throwing some shoot questions out to these superstars from the roster. And today, I have a very special guest. He is the one and only MVP from season 6, the main event bully, Mr. Remy Reznor. How you doing, Remy?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. So we're going to try this 2-minute shoot thing, right? I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. I'm going to ask you a few things, and then you are going to give me the answers straight from the hip, okay?
All right.
So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to first ask you a couple questions because I got to know. At Slam, you were giving the warning signs to Chris Harris, were you not?
That's for me to know and you to find out.
It definitely seemed like you had a little bit something grasped on, if you will. You were talking about the return of some GMs. You were talking about Chris not having it in his hands. And then ultimately, at the end of the show, it looked like everything you said was correct. But I don't know. Maybe you felt this coming. I feel like you felt this coming.
The writing has been on the wall for quite some time. I've said it. Justin's saying it. I think it's pretty obvious. But you know that. You work with the office. You know exactly what's happening here. And Chris is just another in a line of people who are falling victim. Well, I think you know the answer.
Well, okay. So let's move on from that. But I think we've got our feelings on it. We've got our feelings on another thing coming up because you didn't have a match at Slam, and you expressed your feelings to the former GM, but now you do have a match. And you're going to be taking on Franchise, who just lost to Crimson Wolf, right? So how are you feeling about this matchup? Former champ, your former heavyweight champ. How are you feeling about this matchup?
To me personally, you guys are sticking me in the ring with somebody who used to be a GM, somebody who hasn't been in a match in quite some time. And last week being in the match, he proved exactly why he doesn't belong in the match. And I wasn't booked, but yet you'll put a GM in a wrestler's role. That's fine, because what's going to happen now, what's going to happen on Takedown is I'm going to show him exactly why he doesn't need to be in the same ring as me and why the MVP of of season 6 shouldn't be overlooked.
Well, I definitely wouldn't take them words lightly, and it is definitely interesting seeing. Well, you mentioned Russell, you mentioned Matt Eighth Star. Going to be a big match. I'm I'm rooting for you, Remy, whether you believe it or not. I am. So we're gonna do this. Okay, you ready? I'm gonna ask you some questions. I'm gonna put 2 minutes on the clock, and you're gonna fire off the hip for whatever I ask you. All right?
All right.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna start the timer after I first ask the first question. So we're gonna keep it simple. Regular milk or chocolate milk? Go.
Neither. Milk is for pussies.
Okay. Football or baseball?
I don't sport. I punch faces.
Okay. Baseball or hockey?
I don't sport. I kick faces.
Okay. Tennis or golf? Okay. What's your favorite blood type?
O positive.
Okay. If you were strolling down the street and you happened to see a dollar bill on the ground, do you grab it or do you keep going?
Do I grab it or do I keep going? I step on it and I keep going. Because in my work and what I do, I make plenty of money. I don't need chump change.
Okay. Soccer or rugby?
Girls.
Okay. Chris Harris or CFT?
Chris Harris. We have quite a history together. CFT. Well, we'll just see how useful he can prove himself to be.
James Black or Jack Harvey?
James Black.
When you're at the movies, do you want popcorn or candy?
Popcorn.
Large soda or icy?
How about a water because I'm not a fatty?
And last but not least, are you a megastar? Hello? Did we lose him? Yep, I think we lost him. We lost him. Well, I'm not sure if that's a clear answer or not. Maybe I shouldn't have asked that one. Great interview nonetheless from Remy Reznor. The fastest 2 minutes in wrestling, guys. But I think that's going to wrap things up for us. Thank you for joining me in the first episode of the Pillar to Post podcast. We have covered the Slam Takedown episode 1, season 7, and we have briefly covered the episode 2, season 7 Takedown. That'll be airing next Tuesday on the 14th at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Be sure not to miss that from Tampa, Florida. And again, before I leave this video, thank you for joining me. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscription button to Worldwide Wrestling and that notifications bell to get all of the premier eFed entertainment at the drop of a dime. Thank you for joining me again. I am Dewey Danielson, and I am signing out tonight for the Pillar to Post podcast.